South China Morning Post, 21st of March 2023. As a result of increased collaboration between China and the Middle East, the U.S. should reconsider its policy there. The United States has begun withdrawing from the unstable Middle East due to achieving energy independence, which China wishes to take advantage of. The U.S. must monitor the Middle East because a new world conflict will erupt. Many observers were taken aback when Iran and Saudi Arabia renewed their diplomatic relations in Beijing earlier this month, implying that China is exerting increasing influence in the Middle East while the U.S. is losing ground. The United States, the Middle East, and other countries are receiving a clear message by bringing together two fierce regional foes as only it could have done. Perceptions matter for China, at least in the short run. The Saudi-Iranian declaration's timing, location, and China's posture as a responsible, pro-peace mediator are crucial. However, this is viewed as an anomaly because China used its financial clout to make it happen to construct a pipeline from Uzbekistan to Iran and Saudi Arabia, providing a different source of oil to help China resolve its Malacca Strait problem. To advance China's role as a mediator between Russia and Ukraine, Chinese President Xi Jinping will try to build on this achievement during his journey to Moscow, where he meets with Russian President Vladimir Putin. However, China's success in the Middle East is already essential, even though its efforts to mediate between Russia and Ukraine will likely remain symbolic. Over the past 10 years, China has increased its political and economic involvement. Beijing is becoming even more active in a more welcoming and economically influencing Middle East as tensions in Asia and political and economic gaps between China and the West expand. Beijing initially concentrated on trade and investment in the energy industry. Since the Belt and Road Initiative was introduced in 2013, China has become much more involved, from Riyadh to Abu Dhabi, Tehran, and Tel Aviv. Beijing's economic activity has diversified, focusing on 5G mobile networks, smart cities, and infrastructure projects. As their mistrust of Washington grows, regional leaders, frustrated by U.S. policies in the Middle East, have started to see Beijing as a more dependable ally. The connection between China and the Gulf Cooperation Council, GCC, members is more strategic than pragmatic. China's singular capacity to offer technology and infrastructure complements the future visions that Gulf officials have for their nations. China's involvement in the area has grown significantly since the launch of its Digital Silk Road Initiative in 2015. Chinese involvement and technology are already a part of regional government projects like Smart Dubai, Saudi Vision 2030, and the China-Egypt-Suez Economic and Trade Cooperation Zone. While Western nations have shown substantial opposition to Chinese technology companies like Huawei, these relationships are only growing in the Middle East. The UAE's decision to halt negotiations on its F-35 fighter jet deal with the U.S. in 2021 after the U.S. demanded it give up cooperation with Huawei on its 5G network as a condition for the agreement moving forward was a clear indication of the shifting regional equation. This deal had been promised as a reward for signing the Abraham Accords. China has been focusing more on U.S. allies like Saudi Arabia and the UAE even though it sees commercial and strategic value in its relationship with Iran, particularly as its rivalry with the U.S. grows. During Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi's visit to Beijing last month, Iran's frustrations with what it perceives as China's largely unfulfilled commitment to improving their economic relations were made plain. Iran benefits from the agreement with Saudi Arabia because it reduces regional isolation. Still, China is ignorant of how deep the Shia-Sunni split is and how it could resurface to cause trouble in the Middle East at any moment. This action solidifies Riyadh's turn toward forging a strategic alliance with Beijing. More than any other actor, China is prepared to act as a long-term partner for the GCC nations, purchasing their oil, constructing their intelligent cities, and assisting in their economic diversification to green energy. Instead of picking a side, Saudi Arabia and the UAE are more likely to favor a multi-partner approach that makes the most of the US, China, and India. China will continue to fortify its position in the Middle East, including its ties with longtime US allies, as the US tries to maintain its position as the world's undisputed leader and Europe is preoccupied with the conflict in Ukraine. Although the US may be perceived as having less strategic interest in the Middle East, it will continue to play a dominant role in the area because China cannot yet project power there. Washington must actively work to decrease worries among its Middle Eastern allies that any pivot to Asia will be at their cost to regain their trust. The US must continue to play its traditional position as the region's security provider for its allies. Still, as its priorities change, it must find new ways to work with them. The US has the chance to reshape its regional position thanks to new Middle East Asia regional alliances like the I2U2, which brings together India, Israel, the UAE, and the United States and others like Japan and South Korea. The US should concentrate on the superpower rivalry and encourage cross-regional economic cooperation between allies in Asia and the Middle East, including increased investment in technology, renewable energy, food security, and infrastructure, areas where the US has deep expertise but has been falling behind. Washington could retain its strategic position in the area, win the support of its regional allies, and bring Asia and the Middle East closer together by advancing a broader agenda in this way.